Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for sticking around here. My name is Aaron Kam. I'm the board of directors of the Southern California Coaches Association, and it is my honor and privilege to introduce Scott Morrison, the head coach at Santiago High School in Corona, California. Scott, besides being a phenomenal coach and a great person, is one hell of a good friend of mine as well. And I'm looking very forward to this talk on Sharks for Life, building a culture of excellence. So Scotty, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. Before I start, as a member of the board of the Southern California Football Coaches Association, I do want to give a special thanks to Keith Grabowski for providing the vehicle for us to do this, to the rest of the board for supporting the event and supporting John Rice, our incredible clinic director. What an incredible event John has pulled off. It's pretty phenomenal. The quality of presentations that we've had the opportunity to see and attend to and be a part of has been unmatched, to be honest with you. A couple things before I get started. They have said for decades, I've been in the business for a really long time, and I had a really wise coach say to me one time, and I thought it was a real pearl, and I've heard it at almost every clinic since. If you can take one thing, it's worth your time and money. If you get one thing out of a clinic, whether you spend the entire weekend there or 10 minutes, if you walk away with one thing, then what you invested in terms of your time and money is worth it. I've been thinking about this one thing motto for 35 years. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's enough. I think we have to work harder sometimes to define what one thing is. One thing might be do this. This is something I'm going to do. One thing might be do something kind of like this. We do this already. Those are kind of similar, and I can kind of adjust and mold to that. One thing might be make this thing that I do better. We already do this. I already teach, the Powerslide in reverse for offensive pass protection. I already teach a 4-point stance for my defensive linemen, but I could do it better. And that's the one thing I took. One thing you might take from a clinic is don't do it like this, or don't do anything like it. And it might be stop doing what you're doing. So sometimes we define taking something from a clinic as, I got a pearl of wisdom and I'm going to take it with me, or I learned a new pass concept or a new coverage or blitz. But the reality is one thing we might learn might be not to do something. One thing we might learn might be to stop doing something we do. And I'll be honest, over 35 years of going to clinics and talking with coaches, I've walked away from plenty of clinics with do this, with do something like this, with make something I do better in this way. And quite frankly, I upon reflection, started really realizing that I've also taken things from clinics and talking with coaches like, I'm not going to do things that way, or I'm going to stop doing this one thing that I do because of something that I learned. So I think that's an important perspective that you might consider as a coach that's just always trying to get better, because why would you be here if you weren't trying to get better? That's really what we're all kind of trying to do, right? So who am I as a coach? I'm a former assistant. I'm a former coordinator, which I think is important because you see that I've served. I spent 11 years as an assistant coach and then became a head coach. And then after 10 years as a head coach, I became an assistant again. And then I became a head coach again. And so I've been down the road of being an assistant coach. I've been down the road of being a coordinator. I've been a strength coach. I am now. I'm a nutritionist. I'm a 100-game winner. And I say that proudly and as humbly as it can sound, because winning's hard. I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. And I think most importantly, in terms of my job title and in terms of what it is that I do, I'm a leader of men and a leader of young men. And as a head coach, that's something that took me a while to understand. I always felt like I was a leader of young men, like the players matter the most. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I've started to realize that the coaches matter too, and they need me to lead them. And finally, who am I as a coach? I'm a guy that's comfortable in his own skin, and I think I've grown over the course of my career and gotten to this point where I know who I am. I know what's important to me as a football coach. I know what's important to me as the director of a program, and so I hope that I can inspire and or empower you a little bit with this stuff. And so this is my contact information. Today I'm going to be talking an awful lot about the why and working through some culture things. But I think that what we do in our program is pretty darn good. I think we're really well organized in practice. I think we do a good job planning and preparing for games. I think we train our kids as well as anybody. I think we could produce drill tape as good as anybody's. So, I'm here. I'm more than willing and happy to share everything that I have. Anything that I have has been begged, borrowed, or stolen from somebody else. And I think that's what makes us a unique business is that most of us are more than willing to share at no cost. And so I offer that to you. If there's anything I can do to help you in our great profession, please don't hesitate to ask. So here's my journey, just to give you a little sense of where I've been and what I've done. I spent 11 years as an assistant coach after playing in college, literally in the fall of 1986. I was coaching in the fall of 1987. Over the course of those first 11 years, I served as a wide receiver, running back, QB, defensive back, linebacker coach. I was a defensive coordinator. I was in charge of strength and conditioning. I mentioned that 1 year as an assistant coach, and it seems weird to be a wide receiver / O-line guy. I was an inside wide receivers coach. And then as I was preparing for the next season, I had been moved over to the offensive line and asked to assist with the coordination of the offense. I was assisting with the coordination of strength and conditioning, and then I got the next high school job and ended up leaving the junior college situation. I've been a head coach at 5 different schools, and that's kind of just symptomatic of our business. Situations are what they are, and sometimes things go really well, but a better opportunity comes up, and that's happened for me a time or two. And sometimes things go off the rails a little bit, and you don't have a choice, and that's happened to me as well. I'm in both clubs. I'm the coach that's been fired, and I'm probably the coach that will be fired. Trying really hard not to let that happen again. Here's some influences that I think are important. Guys you may have heard of, may know. I played college football with Hugh Jackson and Nick Holt. Those are 2 guys that have had pretty successful coaching careers. Tons of other guys from the University of Pacific have gone on to coach at all levels. Another guy that I mentioned in the coached by thing there, Greg Seaman, who was an assistant coach at the Cowboys, the Browns, and the Bengals. He and I still play words with friends together. He's a dear friend and mentor for me. But these other guys that coached me, that I was fortunate to be coached by, Dick Larson was a 200-game winner. John Strikula won 200 games in junior college. I played baseball for Skip Clapprood, one of the most prolific junior college coaches in the country, certainly. I also had the pleasure of coaching for Dick Larson, my mentor, and Steve Town, who recruited me to play football at the University of Pacific. And over the course of my coaching career, come across and had the opportunity to learn from Herb Meyer, at one time the winningest coach in California high school history. I think he's since been passed, but to win 300 games in a career is incredible. Dick Bruick, who was on the path to 300 games and didn't really even care, just decided, you know what, I won enough and I'm ready to retire. And what a tremendous respect I have for him, and learned tons from him. And Bob Baez, Terry Roach, And I'm a kind of a football nut and a leadership nut and a culture nut. And so I've read and studied coaches from all eras and levels, watched videos, attended clinics, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's important that we lay some groundwork about, the influences in our life. I think it's also important that we all recognize and notice that we have been that influence. I've been really fortunate in the course of my career. I've coached a few guys that have played in the league, a couple that have collected or will be collecting a pension. I've been fortunate to coach a couple of Major League Baseball players. One, I found out he was playing in the major leagues by watching the World Series. He was the starting shortstop for the Tampa Bay, then Devil Rays. I've had the good fortune of coaching dozens of college players at all levels, several minor league baseball players, dozens of guys that are coaching right now at the high school or college level. But I think singularly and most importantly, I've been incredibly fortunate to, in some way, shape, or form, have some influence on hundreds of young men that have become great husbands, great fathers, great employees, great citizens of our world. And that's, again, a big part of what I want to talk about today. I never let a speaking engagement opportunity go by without celebrating these men. These are the guys that I spend the most time with in the fall and an awful lot of time in the off season. Our coaching staff, a group of men who have bought into our vision, bought into our mission, believe in our core values, and work daily with our young men to purport those core values and to hold our players accountable to our standards. Just an incredible group of guys, people who I really enjoy working with and believe in inherently. So now, with that big, long introduction, Simon Sinek talks about the what, the how, and the why of an organization in his book, Starting with Why. The what is what kind of defines the product. In sports, that would be the team and maybe the results. In manufacturing, it might be the actual business or item that is made. Apple makes the iPhone, for instance. How defines our process? In sports, in football, it's how do we prepare? What do we do in the off season? What does our practice look like? How do we get ready to produce the results, to put the team together? Again, for a place like maybe Apple, that would be, how do you make the iPhone? Why defines our purpose. It's our reason for existence. And that's where Apple is different. And Simon Sinek points that out. Apple didn't develop the iPhone because they had superior intelligence and superior manufacturing and superior engineering. Anybody could have done that. Any high-tech company could have done that. But Apple started with why. Apple said, what is it that people need? What is it that people can't live without? And so if you notice, every time there's an upgrade to Apple, the camera is new and improved because people need pictures. They need Snapchat. The AirPods or the earbuds, whatever you call it, they're new and improved because people need to listen to their music. Apple solved the problem of what people need, and then they made the product. Apple started with why. Truth is, most people start with the what. And in our business, most people start with, okay, where are we going to put this guy? What's our best receiver? Who's our best defensive lineman? Who's our best offensive tackle? Who's going to play linebacker for us? Some people start with how. Okay, this is what our practice schedule is going to look like, and this is what our training schedule is going to look like. Starting in January, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. We're going to do the other thing. But very few start with why. Although most of us would admit that the why matters, that our purpose matters. Few of us will sit in a room and start with, what is our purpose? And so I want to take you on this journey with us, because this is kind of what we've done. And quite frankly, whenever I talk about this, there's always a sense that I have to fight against. Guys, we failed. We failed at this before. We keep getting up and coming back and trying again. And we will continue to do that because this stuff isn't easy. But it is important that we lay the groundwork for who these guys are going to become. Here's the truth about the program that I serve. The overwhelming majority of our players are not going to play football after they've played their last game in our uniform. So when they leave us, what are they leaving us with? We share this with our players, the shark why. So the what matters, right? This year's team, we have a goal of winning games and playing in the playoffs and winning championships. And when we don't win and we don't make the playoffs and we don't win championships, it does hurt. So the what does matter. That product does matter. And the how matters. And there's a reason we go in the weight room every day. There's a reason that we encourage our players to eat right and provide meal plans for them. There's a reason that we have a lifting plan. There's a reason that we work with multiple sport athletes to help them develop during their other season of sport or seasons of sport. So our process matters. Those things matter. But at the end of the day, those things can only be accomplished if we truly understand our purpose. Our purpose, our why, is developing men of significance. Who our players become when they leave us. What is their legacy going to be? And what is the legacy of our program on them? That's important in our world. Whenever I start talking about that, inevitably, there is the ho-hum, hemming and hawing, yeah, but you guys don't win. And we do sometimes, but we don't win every single day. We don't win every single year, and I'll be the first to admit that. But I will say this. We accomplish our why a whole lot more often than we don't. At the end of the season, when we look back at the legacy of our senior group, we see the impact that our program has had on our players, that's a win. But winning games is hard. And so I saw this from Dr. Keith Bell. He's a sports psychologist, pretty accomplished and published sports psychologist, who wrote this little brief statement about winning. And we share this with our players. It's up in our coach's office. It's also up in our weight room, right by the door. And every once in a while, I'll remind our players that it's there and challenge them to read it when they come and go for a couple of weeks, because winning isn't normal. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just isn't normal. It's highly unusual. Every competition has only one winner. No matter how many people entered, only one person or team wins the championship. Winning is unusual. As such, it requires unusual action. In order to win, you must do extraordinary things. You cannot just be one of the crowd, because the crowd doesn't win. You have to be willing to stand out and act differently. Your actions need to reflect unusual values and priorities. You have to value success more than others do. You have to want it more. Wanting it more is a decision you make and act upon, not some inherent quality of burning inner drive or inspiration. You have to make that value a priority. You cannot train like everyone else. You have to train more and train better. You cannot talk like everyone else. You cannot think like everyone else. You cannot be willing to join the crowd, to do what is expected, to act in a socially accepted manner, to do what is in. You need to be willing to stand out in the crowd and consistently take exceptional action. If you want to win, you need to accept the risks and perhaps the loneliness, because winning isn't normal. I want to win as bad as the next guy. And in our program, we want to win as bad as the next guy. The question becomes, from year to year, from week to week, how willing are we to take the risks? And how willing are we to maybe accept the loneliness? Winning is a measure of success. And I think it's important to note that. Winning is a measure of success. Winning is not necessarily a measure of excellence because they're two entirely different things. They're interrelated, immensely interrelated, but they are not the same thing. Success is measured in comparison to others. So my success is 100% determined based on how I end relative to other people. My success as an educator is compared to other educators. My success as a football coach is in comparison to other coaches. My success as the football coach and or educator at Santiago High School is measured relative to the other people who have been educators and or football coaches at Santiago High School. Those are important things, and it's important to strive for success, but not to live for it. Excellence, on the other hand, is measured in comparison to the best version of yourself in all aspects of life. And it's important to strive for and to live for. And I want to reiterate that because we hear this all the time. We talk about being great. We talk about an excellence mindset. Case in point, we had a tough lift yesterday in our morning cohort. You don't need the details on that, but we had a morning cohort lift and it wasn't good. Some guys individually got better. Some guys had success in the lift. But as a group, it wasn't very good. We had guys that weren't really dialed in. We had guys that weren't really there to get other people better. It was more about, I'm going to get through this lift. I'm going to hit my percentages. I'm going to do my reps, and then I'm going to get out of here. And in between sets, I might, chat a bit with my pals. But we didn't have the excellence mindset of, I'm going to be great and I'm going to make my teammates great. So I challenged them yesterday at the end of the lift, no matter how they felt about the lift on them, on their own side, how they felt like they improved. I told them I'm going to challenge them to enter today, with an excellence mindset. Come in tomorrow with the focus that you will be better and someone else will also be better because of this lift. Better today than you were yesterday. Better tomorrow than you were today. That's our mindset. I thought our players did a pretty good job of that today, but understanding once again, some of those players had success in that lift yesterday. Some of those players hit their percentages, hit their reps. But as a group, we were not excellent. We were not better in that lift yesterday than we were in the lift the day before. And so there's a significant difference between success and excellence. They are inextricably linked. There is no question about that. Success is measured in a singular moment, while excellence is measured over a lifetime. Therefore, and I think this is an important thing to consider with regard to success and excellence, it is possible to have success without excellence. It's possible to just plain flat out be better than somebody else, right? In our league, in the Big 8 League, we have a nationally ranked football program. We have another football program who is historic and known for football and actually beat that nationally ranked team this year in our shortened COVID season. We don't stand up to that physically, right? And so our chances for success in our league come down to, realistically, how focused are we for 3 games on winning 3 games? Because the other 2 are going to be a really tall order. And we've played close at times and all that kind of stuff. But over time, our opportunity for success in any individual moment is compromised in our league. But our chance for excellence isn't. We don't have to win the game in order to be better than we were last week. And so it is possible to have success without excellence, but it's virtually impossible to have excellence without success. And our best teams have had their share of success over the course of the season because our best teams had an excellence mindset. And whatever happens against that nationally ranked team, whether we played them close or we got a little bit better or we got a lot bit better, if we didn't win, if we did win, whatever, that never mattered. Losing to Centennial, losing to Norco, beating Roosevelt, beating Corona, beating King, those things individually didn't define us. What defined us was, okay, when we lost to Centennial, were we better than we were the week before that? When we lost to Norco, were we better than we were against Centennial? When we beat Roosevelt, big win, that's awesome, great job. But were we better than we were when we lost to Norco? When we beat Corona, who we were supposed to beat, were we better than we were against Roosevelt? When we beat King, were we better than we were against Corona? Because if we were, we've maintained an excellence mindset. And I've gone into Saturday meetings and said, guys, yeah, who cares about the score? Yes, we lost, but look at all these places that we got better. We had an excellence mindset. And I've said the opposite. Guys, yeah, we won and we smoked them. Good job. Congratulations. Winning's hard, but guess what? We didn't do that with an excellence mindset. We were not better than we were last week, and we've got to improve on that. Connecting the why to success and excellence. A couple quotes here I won't read for you because I know y'all can read yourselves, but Tim Tebow is pretty well known for a life of purpose. John Maxwell is also known for kind of a focus on leadership and lives of purpose. So you can read those quotes, but I think this is an important thing in terms of your why, starting with why, and using success and excellence, because the what and the how are important. So when we focus on the what, winning games, being a good team, putting together our pieces of the puzzle as we all do in football, because it does matter. The what and the how do matter. They're important, but they focus on success. We put our offensive schemes together and our defensive schemes together and our special team schemes and our game plans. We put players in positions and do depth charts, and we do all of those things because they matter, because success matters. It's important, but it's not paramount. When we start with why, we start with our purpose. It's really easy to focus on excellence. Starting with our why, starting with our purpose is paramount. So, and I apologize if there are questions, comments. If you have, I should have said this on the front end. If I'm going too fast or too slow, if I'm boring you to death and you're snoring, whatever it is, feel free to. I know you can't unmute yourselves, but throw something in the chat. I'll stop. We can begin a conversation if there's things that I can clarify for you. So feel free to throw that stuff in the chat. If I don't see it, I know we've got some people here who will help us with it. But I want to transition now, still focused on the why. But talk a little bit about transformational versus transactional. Joe Ehrmann in Inside Out Coaching, and it's not just a book. He actually has this whole program now that's focused on being a transformational coach. And I'll be very honest with you. There's a lot of what Joe Ehrmann shares that I don't necessarily totally and completely dive into. I think that there are transformational coaches and there are transactional coaches, but I think those things are on the far perimeter. Those are the extremes. I think most of us probably fall somewhere on the timeline between transformational and transactional. So I think our goal probably should be to know where we are and know what's important to us. For my part, I prefer to lean towards transformational. Transactional coaches, so and for that reason, this will seem to be a little critical. Please understand, once again, this is not intended to be critical, but I think it's important you know who you are. Transactional coaches are focused upon and sometimes obsessed with results, winning, getting players scholarships, grinding. Those are things that transactional coaches focus on. That doesn't mean those are exclusions. That doesn't mean that you can't have those kind of qualities and be transformational to some extent. But if we were just to jump at the extreme and say, show me what a transactional coach looks like, it would be about, hey, winning matters because it matters to me. Hey, we got to win by a lot. We're way better than this team. Hey, look at how many players I got a scholarship or we got a scholarship or who got a scholarship out of our program. Look how hard we work, right? Wanting to be noticed for what we're leading. And there's transactions there. Transformational coaches, on the other far extreme, are coaches that are clearly always player-centered and process-focused. And every decision is made based upon what is best for the players. And I do want to stop here and make this point. We all make decisions every day. And very often in our mind, they are the decision that is best for the players, right? And very often the players don't see that as best in that moment. And very often we're right. I've removed players from the team. I have suspended players. And to some extent, those decisions have hurt our team's chances for success. But in maintaining an excellence mindset and working very hard to make sure that we stay focused on our purpose, those players had lost the right to participate in this incredible game with these incredible teammates. Whether it was for a week or 2 weeks or for the rest of a season or forever, as hard as those decisions are, those were the best decisions. And in that moment, those players don't always see that. But I've never allowed for that decision to be made without the opportunity to share why the decision's being made and how this is at this moment the best decision for that player. Am I always right? No. I'm as fallible as they get. As I said, I think the transformational transactional thing are two polar opposites, two extremes, and most of us fall somewhere in the middle. It's my hope that I fall or lean towards transformational more than transactional. Again, all this is hopefully going to tie together in just a minute, but here's another concept, the idea of education-based athletics. There's been at least here in California, a big club push, club tackle football, because we didn't play football in the fall. And so there's been all this stuff, and people are uber concerned about club football taking over the way maybe AAU basketball did, or whatever area code games, baseball, or the soccer, elite club soccer stuff, and the impact that those have had on high school sports. I don't know if that's going to happen in football or not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I won't be around when it does, because it's going to take a while if it is going to happen. But I think that there needs to be a distinction now, and we're starting to hear this term. It's kind of a buzzword: education-based athletics. Here's the truth. Think about the classroom teachers you know. Most of them are not defined or valued based on their student performance, quite frankly. If you think about what students say about their teachers, the teachers that they truly and genuinely respect, they're good teachers, they deliver content, their students typically have success. That's not the things their students talk about. The things their students talk about is the impact that those teachers had on them. Coaches are educators, and as such, coaches should not be defined or valued by scores and records, but by our impact on student athletes. That's education-based athletics. How we are defined, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I need to go back. There we go. How we are defined, however, and I think this is important, is greatly determined by how we allow ourselves to be defined. And sometimes, we allow ourselves to be defined as coach. Hey, coach, gym shorts, tennis shoes, and a t-shirt, a whistle around my neck, and a big sun hat. And I'm going to walk around, yelling and screaming and blowing the whistle, and that makes me coach. And that's what people see me as, and that's what I allow myself to be defined as. And that's not, again, a judgment. It's not a judgment in any way, shape, or form. But we can control how we are defined by how we allow ourselves to be defined. Same coach walking around in gym shorts and a t-shirt and a big hat and a whistle around his neck and sunglasses on, walking through the halls, not the fields, not the gym, not the locker room, but the halls during his prep, saying hello to all of the students who are not players, right? Getting to know other students. That same guy dressed the same way has not allowed himself to be defined by his sport or by his role. He's been defined by his impact on players. So I'd ask you, and I don't know if you came for a quiz or not, but I'd ask you to think about this. Are you more transactional, or are you more transformational? Are your goals and aspirations truly as a coach to change lives, to impact young people, to empower them, to influence them, to help them grow? And I guess more importantly, what would your players say? What would your players say? Position coach, what would the guys you coach in that position? Coordinator, what would the guys who line up on your side of the ball say? Strength coach, what would the players who come into the weight room say? Because what they would say, that's your legacy. As educators, our legacy in the field, on the field and in the classroom, is most often how we inspired, encouraged, and empowered our students. That's our legacy. That's what people are going to remember about us. I say this all the time, and some people don't believe me, but I honestly do not remember the score of any game that I can't even remember the score of the most recent game we played, and we just played our last game on April 17th. I don't remember any scores. It's not because I'm better. It's not because I'm worse. It's because I'm not. That's not a focus for me. I'm more focused on the legacy. I remember the players I let down. I remember the players I failed to inspire. I remember the players I failed to encourage. I remember the players I failed to empower. I also remember those that I succeeded at. And to me, that's the essence of this incredible profession. And we have the greatest game in the world to use as our platform in this profession. So I think I know mine. And sorry that it's on a tombstone. I got caught a little grief about this in putting it together with my youngest, who's 20 years old, and she's the Powerslide, or not Powerslide, she's the Google Slide expert. So she helped me do all these cute little graphics. And I had put a tombstone on the slide, and she kind of giggled and said, "What are you doing?" And so she made this for me. I guess I convinced her. But at the end of the day, what I'd like my legacy to be, when I'm no longer here, I want people to say, "Yeah, you led a good life, but," and I said "and" here, but really it's "but," he led others to a better life. That's the legacy that I want to leave as a human being. That's the legacy that I want to leave as a football coach. And this is an incredible game that's going to give me the opportunity to do that. So having said all of that, and now, fully 35 minutes into the talk, let's talk a little bit about culture. Because now that we've kind of defined how we build and grow culture, I think it's important. What is culture to you? Because you have to consider that before you decide how important culture is, right? Every organization has culture. It has some sort of culture, good, bad, or otherwise. And I would never judge any culture. All I know is what I want our culture to be, right? But are you intentional about that culture? Or is it just a buzzword? Are you just going to use that to grab attention? Or is it the real thing? Here's some things that are important about culture. It's easier to define than it is to grow. And it's easier to grow than it is to sustain that growth. So the challenge really is, once defined, figure out how to grow. And then most importantly, how are you going to sustain that growth in that culture? Because that's not an easy thing to do. Some realities about culture. This is the truth. There are no culture guarantees. Just because you had a team last year that had great culture and they call it chemistry. That's the culture of your team. They love to play each other. They love to play with each other. They competed like crazy in practice. They competed like crazy together on Friday nights or Saturday afternoons. There's no guarantee that next year you're gonna have the same culture. No guarantee at all. Second culture reality. Culture needs to be coached. You have to plan for it. You have to prepare for it. You have to be intentional about it. It has to be coached. Culture requires buy-in, belief, and faith. That slide I showed at the very beginning with my assistant coaches. I'm incredibly blessed to have an incredible group of men who are really football savvy men, who are really good teachers, and who really buy in, believe, and have faith in our culture and what we're about. And it doesn't mean we're perfect, and it doesn't mean we always do it right, but we have incredible buy-in. We're really lucky. Another culture reality: excellence can be achieved and success sustained when culture is a priority. If you make culture a priority, you're likely to be more successful than not. There's no guarantee you're going to win every game, win every championship. And if the only way that I will be defined is by how many games I won, or how many championships I won, or how many rings I have, then it is what it is. But I think that if we focus on an incredible quality culture, we can achieve excellence, and achieving excellence gives us a great chance to be successful on Friday night as well. And the fifth one here, I just added today when I was listening to another talk. Culture must be a priority every day. It's not something that you take off the shelf for the off season, that you install during the preseason, and then you just forget about when you start playing games. Culture has to be a priority every day. So here's some things that are our culture things, and I'm going to really kind of quickly go through these. I'm really not even really go through them, but I'd just like you to see them, especially if you're watching this, on the replay. These are some things we do. Our mission, which is being men of significance, our core values, our guiding principles. I'm going to talk about those in just a minute. Those are the essence of our culture. We have a chemistry building, team building kind of session. We call it unity. Anytime we get together and we start talking about things that are not game plan specific, that are not practice plan specific, that we call that a unity session. And we do those several times over the course of the year. We have a coalition. We don't have captains. We don't have a leadership committee. We have a coalition of players that is selected by coaches and coalition members. So you get to the coalition. Now your job is to grow the coalition. Your job is to identify players who can join the coalition and make us better, who can continue to grow our culture. We focus on the Shark football experience as being a 4-year journey. When our freshmen come in at the very beginning, we tell them, understand that this is a 4-year journey. It's going to be hard. It's going to be grueling. There's going to be times you want to quit. Don't quit, because when you come back, it'll be different. Fight through the times you want to quit, because when you get to the end and have done that 4-year journey is going to be worth it. Now, we do have players that transfer in. We do have players that start later in their high school career. We do have players who quit, despite our greatest encouragement not to, and then ask to come back. And those players have a 3-year journey, or a 2-year journey, or a 1-year journey. And our job as coaches and as the proprietors of our team culture and as of our program culture, our job is to create a 4-year journey for those 1 and 2 and 3-year Sharks. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it is a focus for us. I think part of our culture is our acceptance and encouragement of multi-sport athletes. The only place I have any arguments with other coaches is in the weight room. That's the only place. And that's quite frankly, and we've all had it as football coaches, the old school other sport coach who says, you can't lift on game day, or you shouldn't do legs during the season, or you can't do upper body because you'll get too big, or any of those kind of things, who don't really understand the strength training element and the flexibility and all the things that we're doing with modern science. Those are the only people I ever have issues with, because when our players go to play other sports, they go. And we just want them in the weight room. To the extent that we can get them, we keep them in the weight room. And if we can't get them in the weight room, we live with it. But if we have them in the weight room, we work like crazy to make them better in the weight room. But if they're in another season of sport and we're doing something outside of the weight room or outside of the class period or whatever, we don't expect them there. We let them be multiple sport athletes. We have standards, not rules. I don't believe in listing all the do's and don'ts, the 10 commandments of, and all that kind of stuff. We have standards. And so it's really easy When a player fails, when a player's misbehaving in class, hey, that you're not living to our standard. When a player doesn't do every rep in the weight room, you're not living to our standard. So we have standards, not rules. On the right side of this, are some more kind of activities than anything else. So our freshman camp and inclusion. What I mean by that is a couple of years ago, we decided that our freshmen deserve to be coached by the best coaches in our program. And finding coaches is hard, and finding coaches that are committed and dedicated is hard. We've been fortunate to have some really good coaches, freshmen and otherwise. But we got to a point where our coaching staff was a little challenged at the lower levels. So we said, you know what, we're gonna all coach them. And so we bring our freshmen in for 1 week where they get to be a standalone group, and then they get integrated into our program with the rest of the players. We come out every practice for dynamic warm up and static stretch with every player in the program doing that together. Obviously, when we get into game week, those things change a little bit because the lower levels are playing on days that we're practicing all of that. But the reality is, our freshmen for the last 3 years, this year will be the third class that will have experienced nothing but knowing the varsity coaches from day one, from the day they walked on campus. We think that's a big deal. Fist bumps and thank yous. We used to do hugs and handshakes, but COVID has changed that a little bit. But at the end of every single practice, our players, and it was inspired originally by another coach who was a position coach and told his players, hey, make sure you go shake hands with the coordinator. Make sure you go shake hands with your position coaches. And our players started doing that, and all of a sudden just became a thing. And so our players fist bump and thank you every single practice. They come up to coaches and thank them. We have a deal in the weight room. I always say this, if we call it, I will call a set out loud, first guy, first set, ready, go. Everybody claps. And when guys don't clap, I always say, hey, everybody claps, not just the good players or not just the bad players, but the purpose of the clap is the unity part. The idea that, hey, we're all in this together. I'm lifting for you. You're lifting for me. I'm getting stronger for you. You're getting stronger for me. My job is to get better, not just for me, but for everybody. And that clap, when it happens in unison, whether it's 30 guys in the room, 60 guys in the room, 90 guys in the room, COVID has changed things, right? But the bottom line is that clap coming in unison means something. It means we're all in this together, and it's an important part of our culture. We do like everybody else. We have our Shark Jacks. We end our Shark Jacks. We spell out sharks. Then we spell out our core values, trail, and we finish with trail. And we rush to the middle. Guys jump all over each other. And again, COVID has restricted that to some extent, but that's a part of our culture. And we celebrate our seniors. Nobody picks his own number ever until he's a senior. When he's a senior, he gets to pick his own number. I'll work out conflicts if two guys want the same number, and usually it's pretty easy because we assign them numbers when they're freshmen, when they're sophomores, and they pretty much wear that same number for their entire career, especially after they're sophomores, and they start liking it. I gave a guy number 99 when he was a sophomore. Guess what number he asked for his senior year? Number 99. Gave a guy number 28 when he was a sophomore. Guess what number he asked for in his senior year? Number 28. Occasionally, guys will ask for a different number, and we do have legacy numbers that guys will apply for. But seniors only get to choose those and be a part of that. We have a senior spotlight in senior week, the last week of the season. Every single senior stands in front of the team and reflects on the legacy that he wants to leave individually and that he hopes his group of seniors leaves. We have a senior walk. We do the senior walk every week on Wednesday at the end of practice, that the end of the season is imminent. So if we're not going to the playoffs, like COVID this year, we only had 5 games. We knew it. So week 5, Wednesday, senior walk. All of the coaches and underclass players create a human tunnel from the end zone to the to midfield, and then all of our seniors on their timeline just kind of make their way through that tunnel, and it's amazing and powerful and a true example kind of our culture, because the first guy usually goes through kind of goofy and whatever, and by the time he gets halfway down, he's crying, bawling, and then we have the last guy who can't bring himself to even start because he knows how hard it's going to be, because this is his last Wednesday practice, or in years that we're going to the playoffs, this might be his last Wednesday practice. Awards Our awards banquet, we don't give awards. We don't give MVP. We don't give most improved. We don't give coaches award. They get academic awards that the school offers. They get all league awards. They get scholar athlete awards that the league offers. But that's it, except for seniors. Every senior gets a senior award. And it's just a thank you, a gift for our seniors. Our program, and we're going to change this a little bit, but every year prior to our first game, and we have our big unity session to kick off the year, our players all write letters. And I keep those letters over the course of their 4 years. And at the banquet, I give those seniors that are graduating the letters that they've written to themselves over the course of 4 years. I also write a letter to the seniors, and I've done it a variety of ways. I've written one letter to the entire senior class. I've written individual letters to each of the seniors. It depends a lot on the year, but that's an important part of our culture. Those are things our kids remember. Those are legacies that our program leaves with our kids. And the last thing we do for our seniors is, if they are coalition members, they get a medal that they're allowed to wear at graduation as an adornment. And we have to have those things approved through our administration. And our administration has approved those coalition medals. So our football players as seniors, and there's only, never more than 5 or 6 seniors in the entire graduating class of 1,000 kids. There's 5 or 6 kids who have that medal. It's a pretty cool deal, a big part of our culture. So as we get close to wrapping it up, believe it or not, I am close to finished, but I do want to kind of now get to like the Sharks for Life thing. So how did we do this? You're trying to figure out, culture matters. How am I going to figure this culture out? Here's what we did. We started with guiding principles. What are we going to do every single day to prove who we are, right? So the old Urban Meyer thing, we eliminated BCD. We don't want to hear it. If a kid is blaming, complaining, or defending about something, he gets called out on it, right? That's something you can do every single day. We maintain high standards. We know what the standards are. Sorry, you're not reaching them. We maintain them by calling people out regularly. We know we can do that. Building culture is a little nebulous, not easy to do. I understand that, but showing gratitude is easy. Say thank you, right? So we started there. These are our guiding principles. These are who we are, what we do, what we're about, right? And that then became kind of emblematic of our core values. And so now we walk the trail. We trust, we respect, we have availability and accountability, we invest, and we love. That's what we're about. And I'm going to talk about those briefly at the very end, but we established our guiding principles, how we're going to behave, how we're going to interact. And that led to the creation of our core values. And the creation of our core values then led us to the ultimate thing, which is the mission of our program, developing men of significance. And as we got there, we had the trail, we had the guiding principles, looking for a way to articulate our mission. I was scouring the internet, looking for something of inspiration, and I saw this, and it's an essay that was written. The author's down here at the bottom. I can't say that, but he's a pretty impressive guy. And here's what he says: a man of significance. A man of significance achieves his goals, while a man of success achieves his goals, while a man of significance changes his world. A higher level of successful living is living a life of significance. Please get this right. It's not all about you winning. It's about how many people you've helped to win. It's not only about you being a genius, it's about how many people you've helped to unlock their genius. The world will quickly forget you, no matter how wealthy you are, but you will forever be remembered for how many nobodies you helped to become somebody. If you have the ability that goes beyond providing for your own needs, you have an obligation to reach down and lift up those who can't meet their own needs. If you don't, they, by the sheer weight of their numbers, will reach up and pull you down. My candid advice to you is always strive to be the best in all that you do. Let your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, and become more. If you've discovered a way out, don't only go the way, show others the way out. If you cannot win, make the one ahead of you break the record. Success is worthless if we don't have people to share it with. Indeed, our most desired human emotion is that of connection with other souls. The world will not remember you for how long you lived or how much you accumulated. You'll only be remembered for the problems you solved and the positive impact you made. Invest in people. It pays. So the Shark Football Trail, our core values. Trust. We believe that trust is greater than fear. We need to trust to overcome our fears. Respect. We demonstrate respect with handshakes and hugs and eye contact and our appearance and the language we use. Those are all things that fall under respect. Availability. Be early. Communicate conflicts. This is an important one now. Just because you communicated, you didn't suddenly become available. So communication is really accountability, right? But it's still an expectation. We want you to be available all the time, 100% of the time. And we want you to be early when you're available. But if you're not going to be there and you fail to communicate, you've really violated two core values. Accountability to yourself, to your position group or unit, to your teammates, to the program. We all know accountability. Accountability is a big buzzword these days. The reality is that availability and accountability work very closely together. Accountability just supersedes being just available, right? Investment. Ultimately, what investment is really, it's a long-term vision with a short-term work ethic. It's an understanding that I need to work today like tomorrow is my last day. Like I have to be my best tomorrow. And in order for me to be my best tomorrow, I got to work today like a dog, right? But it's also understanding that the work I'm putting in today is not going to pay off yet. So I want to gain 20 pounds in the off season. I'm not going to do one lift and eat 3,000 calories one day and gain the 20 pounds, right? I want to increase my squat by 75 pounds in the off season. I'm not going to squat 315 today and 390 tomorrow, right? It's not going to happen. So it's having a long-term vision with the short-term work ethic. I'm going to work like I'm going to squat 390 tomorrow, but I'm going to be understanding that I probably won't. I'm going to work like I'm going to gain 20 pounds, but I'm going to understand that I probably won't. And love is simple. And I'll be honest with you. You stand in front of a group of young men and you say, get used to it. I love you. And they get all giddy and goofy and, teenagey, right? This is the God's honest truth. I spent 4 years with these guys that just finished on April 15, 16, 17. We played our last game. They came in the following Monday. We sent them off and got them all signed out of class, collected all their gear, all that. I haven't really seen them since. Came across 3 graduating senior players, just happenstance, in the halls, if you will, last week. All 3 of them left our conversation and beat me to it. I love you, coach. We're doing something right. Bottom line is our trail's not perfect. In 2015, I started at Santiago High School and we were trying to build a culture. In 2017, we felt like it was built. Our players had learned to win with our culture. Part of the way we did that was by flipping a tire, right? Bottom line is we're gonna add by subtracting. We're gonna make it really hard, hold kids accountable, make them flip a tire every time they can. It's kind of a longer thing than it needs to be, but the reality is that work we did after the 2017 season allowed us to quote unquote arrive in 2018. We practiced like no team I've ever coached before. We had tons of success, one of the most successful teams in the history of our school, all kinds of great things, winning streaks and records and all that kind of stuff. 2019, the culture wasn't good. It was my fault. And I've worked like crazy to figure out why. And you want to know why? It was because we were still flipping a tire. I had found that flipping a tire worked for the 2018 team. The 2017 group, inspired flipping the tire. The 2018 group embraced it. 2019 group just said, all right, I'll just flip the tire. It just became something we did. It wasn't an accountability measure. 2020, we have a COVID excuse, and I'm using it, darn it. And I'm using it because we didn't practice. We didn't touch a football until 14 days before we played our first game. But I'll tell you this, our players loved each other. Our players played like dogs. Our players cared about success. Our players embraced an excellence mindset, and they worked like crazy to leave a legacy, and we believe they have. And 2021, we'll find out. But here's the deal. On the left is the AM cohort on Monday, April 19th. I'm sorry, on Friday, April 26th, or whatever that was, to 24th. 1 week after we had played our last game. On the right is the PM cohort. These guys represent 100% of the returning players in our program. Every single guy came and did a week's worth of lift, all 5 days. All 5 days after playing their last game the previous Thursday. I think we're on to something here. I did want to just show this real quick in closing, and I will take any questions, but I got to find my thing, because I think this kind of defines how culture impacts you. This is a group right here that has lost 3 games in a row in a 5-game season. They're going into this game 0-3. Pretty frustrating, wanting to win, right? But just keep focusing on getting better. So watch how hard these guys play. Missed tackle, but gosh darn it, look at them. Oh man, these guys are flying around. Same thing. We're gonna miss a tackle. Not a great play, but we got guys getting to the ball. It's not just defense. Watch number 55 right here. Watch this guy. Look at him. Look at our offensive line on a pass play, working to get in front of the ball. We got a bunch of skinny little guys. We play against a bunch of really big guys, but watch our guys work. Watch this guy. Receiver didn't catch the ball. He's going to go find work. We got offensive linemen out in front of the receiver that caught the ball. Sorry, I didn't take the annotations out. Let me see if I can do that real quick. There we go. And not to be left out, special teams, guys flying around. Bang. And I, again, just want to emphasize that I think this is symptomatic of our culture. We're 0-3 in this game. We have not won a game. These guys have not tasted success yet. But they're flying around, playing together, having fun, working to be better in this game than they were in the last game. We hadn't had a guy lay out for a ball, not just lay out and make a catch, but actually lay out for a ball in the previous 3 games. This guy makes this catch. This is fun. Let's watch that one again. Watch the puller. This one is so fun. We get to see it from the end zone. Watch the puller. Playing hard, flying around. Now this, 3rd and 12, nursing a touchdown lead. They have enough time to go score if we don't get a first down. We just need to get a first down. But it's 3rd and 12. Number 1, coalition guy, 4-year shark. I'm getting a damn first down. And he does. And this, to me, I'd like you just to watch these guys. They have not won a game. They have not won a game this year. They're 0-3. They have a chance to win a game. Greatest play in football, right? Take a knee, the victory formation. Quarterback is a little worried about his run totals, so he's going to run for the line of scrimmage and take a knee. Silly. But these guys just won a game, and they know how we behave. They know how we behave. We're going to walk across the field. We're going to shake their hands. We're going to congratulate them on a well-fought game. And then we're going to get our butts over to the sidelines, and we're going to celebrate together on the sidelines. We're not going to rush the field. We're not going to do anything to embarrass ourselves. And I think that is symptomatic of what our culture has become and what we're fighting every single day to continue to build. So at this point, I don't know if there are any questions. I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all staying up late tonight. Took me a cup of coffee to get through it, but I hope I had something that was worthwhile for you. Once again, if you are interested, let me share this once again. I'll put this up for anybody that wants to get in touch with me. Feel free to do so, and I'll answer any questions you have. Thanks, Coach Carter. I appreciate it. Other than that, I'm done. I'll take any questions, or I wish you the best. Good luck to you, and go Sharks.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your night.
Appreciate it.